everybody. Can you hear me then? Is everybody here? How are you doing today, folks? How's everybody doing today? And who's got a microphone today that they can use? Good. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, we had Christmas time here in Poland. We've just had it. Now we're between Christmas and New Year. So it's not quite Happy New Year, not yet. Okay, so I'm looking for somebody on the microphone. Please type in the box if you want to speak, if you can speak now. Today's topic is going to be hospital. Studying language lesson today about the topic of hospital. So I'm looking for a volunteer with a microphone or with webcam who can join me. So, any volunteers? Today we're going to think about hospital. What do you first think of when you think about hospitals? What comes into your mind? Type it in the box, please, in the chat box. What comes into your mind when you think about hospitals? Do you have positive thoughts about hospitals, negative impression? What do you think? What comes into your mind when you think about hospital? patient is a person who goes to hospital, isn't it? So let's have a look at our vocabulary today. Look at the image here, or the picture here. We've got 40 vocabulary words about the topic of hospital. Type in the box if there are any new words here that you don't know, any words that you don't know. So, any new vocabulary here? So, doctor is a person who can make you feel better, a person who is trained in medicine, and they can make you or help you to feel better. They may be able to give you some medication or prescribe something or do an operation. Medicine is something we take to help us feel better. Illness is kind of a bad feeling when we have a health problem for a few days or a few weeks, maybe like a bad cold. Heart attack is when we have too much blood coming into our heart, and sometimes we can die from a heart attack. Sick means that you're not well, you have a health problem. Nurse is a person who works in the hospital. Medical student is someone training to be a doctor. And intensive care. This is a part of the hospital we go to when we're very sick. We come into the hospital and we have to be treated straight away. So we go to intensive care, and it's like an emergency ward, if you like, for people who are very, very sick. Okay, so let's read together now. I'm going to read the words and give you the pronunciation, and now you should Repeat the words with me, okay? So listen and repeat now. Patient, wheelchair, clinic, accident, visiting hours, emergency, appointment, ward, X-ray, surgeon, hospital, pain, broken arm, anesthetic, diagnosis, and blood test, nurse, consultant, drip, trolley. So I want to focus on this group of words. So the top group here, top group of words. Remember what we said about words with schwa sound. That is the weak sound in English, the schwa sound. Every content word in English has one strong stress, one stressed syllable. The other syllables may have schwa sounds. Let's look, for example, at some. Appointment, appointment. Point is stressed, but the other two syllables have a schwa sound. Appointment, mint, mint. So in the mint, in the suffix, there's the schwa sound. So for example, we don't pronounce every vowel letter. We don't say appointment, appointment, appointment. You know, many students do speak like that, but we shouldn't do, and we shouldn't, because English is different. English is a stressed language. So there's one strong stress, and the syllables can be schwa sound. Let's look at another example. Accident, accident. It's stressed. The first syllable is stressed, and the second two syllables have a schwa sound. Accident, 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 accident. Appointment, appointment. Can you hear how the stress is everything, and the other syllables are just weak with the schwa sound? Accident. So we can't say accident, accident, appointment, appointment. If we say that, then we sound strange. We sound different from English. It's different from English, and maybe that somebody won't understand you. Okay, next one, anesthetic. St is stressed, anesthetic. St. So this is stressed syllable. All the power is in this syllable. St. And the other syllables are either short vowels or the schwa sound. Is the schwa sound. Anesthetic, anesthetic. So all power is in anesthetic. Anesthetic is used, it's like a painkiller, isn't it? We use it before we have an operation. Okay, can you see any more words with a schwa sound? Any more words with a schwa sound? The weak sound of English. So emergency. It's stressed. Emergency. Jun has the schwa sound, isn't it? So I'm going to put the schwa sound in red just to make it very clear. So we say accident, appointment. Emergency. Anesthetic. So not every syllable which is weak has a schwa sound. Not everyone, but it's very often. It's very, very often that this happens. And usually this is in the suffix. So for example, the suffix in accident. This is suffix, isn't it? ENT is suffix. Appointment. Month is suffix. And so on. Okay, let's go to the next group of words. Listen and repeat along with me, please. Porter. Porter. Maternity. Outpatient. Syringe. Illness. A&D. Mortuary. Doctor. Waiting list. Injury. NHS. Heart attack. Ambulance. Crutch. Midwife. Operation. Corridor. Stethoscope. Medical student. Psychiatrist. Okay, now we can see another feature of English, which is when we have one syllable ending with T and the next syllable starts with the consonant sound. For example, here, appointment, outpatient, appointment. Can you hear something? I'm not pronouncing the T. Appointment, appointment, outpatient, outpatient, outpatient. I'm not pronouncing the T like outpatient, outpatient. It's too difficult for me to pronounce English people. So if we have this situation with the T, a T sound at the end of a syllable, meeting with another consonant sound, then we use what is called glottal stop. Glottal stop. Does anybody know what it is, a glottal stop? So have you ever heard of this thing? It's when we have a T at the end of a syllable and the next sound is a consonant sound, we get this. Glottal stop. Yeah. So these are two things to look out for in English. If you don't use the schwa sound, and if you don't use the glottal stop, then you will sound less natural. You won't sound so natural, or as natural as you should sound. Yeah. And this will be a problem. So glottal stop is the weak sound in English, and the glottal stop is after the T sound, and the schwa sound is the weak sound of English. If you want to sound natural, then you should try to practice these two things. Practice at home, you know, you can pronounce, practice with phrases. For example, the word patient ends with the T sound. You have this word ends with the T, patient. Let's say that in a sentence, the next word is will, okay? For example, the patient will be late. So this is very common in English. So I can't say the patient will be late. The patient will be late. That's how students try to say it. But an English person would just use glottal stop. Yeah, we get rid of the T sound, and we just say the patient will be late. The patient will be late. Not the patient, because it's too difficult to finish the T with our tongue in the place. Yeah, patient. The patient will be late. Patient will be late. Patient will be late. If you don't use this, then you'll sound less natural. Maybe, for example, in this sentence, the accident was very bad. The accident. Glottal stop means that we just take away T and we close our glottis. That is where we, the air hole in our throat, we just close it so that there's no sound for about half a second. So it's a tiny break in the sound, it's a tiny pause. We can't delete the T completely and just leave it, you know, like the accident was very bad. The patient will be late. The patient will be. Then it sounds wrong, doesn't it? The patient. You need the glottal stop. It's a very small, subtle thing, but try to listen to this when you're listening to English. It's only when T meets another consonant sound. For example, appointment, outpatient. Of course, if the word has two T's at the end, then we use two glottal stops. You know, the outpatient was with the schwa sound. So listen for these things. Schwa sound and glottal stop together in English speakers, native speakers of English. I'm talking about British speakers and British English, yeah? Outpatient was, not the outpatient was. Remove T but adding glottal stop, which means a tiny gap in the speech, a tiny pause or break. Yeah. Okay, who can remember some words from that page? Who can remember some words from that page? Can you tell me, type in the box if you can. Okay. Okay, let's look at these words then. Which word has got 3 syllables? Which word has got 3 syllables? Accident. Good. Accident. Which words have got a schwa sound? Which words have got a schwa sound? Accident. Accident. Yes, schwa sound here, here. Also, which other word? Accident. Clinic hasn't got a schwa sound, it's got 2 I, clinic. Ward and nurse, these are 1 syllable words, and so they don't have schwa sounds because they are stressed words. They have a strong vowel. Doctor, doctor, that's the schwa sound here. Illness. Yeah, so these are the schwa sound. Problem in English is schwa sound doesn't have a letter. This is very awkward for us. You know, this is annoying because if it had a letter, we could say, oh, that's the schwa sound. And then we know how to pronounce it. It's actually the weak sound. But as you can see, in accident, it's the letter I and the letter E. In doctor, it's letter OR. In illness, it's the letter E. So it's no wonder students will pronounce illness, doctor, accident, because that's how they learn the alphabet in English. But you have to start thinking about schwa sound. Schwa sound. Okay, tell me a verb we can put with these nouns. Collocation. Verbs and nouns together. What is the collocation? Accident. What verb do I need to put? Okay, I'm just looking for infinitive at the moment. So let's go with infinitive have. Okay, and think about the other words. What is the collocation? Give me one verb, infinitive, for each noun. So we're looking at the noun nurse. Make a nurse. Hear about. A nurse doesn't make sense. What can be the collocation here? No? Nurse. What verb do you put before nurse? So maybe we talk to the nurse. Or be a nurse, yeah? Okay. Clinic. What is the collocation? Verb and noun. Clinic. You have to tell me because I already know the answer. But if you don't do it, then nobody wants to do it, yeah? I already know the answers. But I wonder if you know the answers, yeah? So you have to participate in this lesson. Okay, go. Yes, that can work. What about ward? Have a ward? Yeah, maybe the hospital has 20 wards as possible. Stay in. It's a good answer. I'm looking for good collocations. Doctor. B, but we've already got B. What about something else? See the doctor, maybe, yeah. Illness. Visit an illness. Want an illness. No, nobody wants an illness. Have an illness, but we've already got have. But yes, it's a good collocation. It is a good one. Hate. Yes, okay. Sarah's got hate an illness. Yes. Need, and I don't think anybody needs illness, to be honest. Suffer from, we could have phrasal verb. Okay, and that's fine. So we've got our collocations. Today we're going to think about studying language. That means we need to think about our tense. Today, past simple tense. What time is it in past simple? What is the time in past simple? So we're looking at past simple today. What's the time in past simple? If I use that, if I'm using that in a sentence, what time is it? No. Nobody knows. But what time is it? Past, present, future. It's not a trick question. Okay, last Friday, last week, last month, last year. Yesterday, it's past. I call it finished time. It's finished time. The time has gone. For example, last, yes, ago, another one, yesterday, the day before, in the past, the time has gone, the time is finished. Can even be 1 minute ago, but it's still past simple time because it's in the past finished time. We cannot return to this time. Yeah, we can't go back to this. Okay, and what is auxiliary verb in past simple? Do you know? Auxiliary verb in past simple. Auxiliary verb. We have to just learn this. No. So auxiliary verb is did. Did in past simple. Did you? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Okay, good. Heber is saying was, were. Okay, Heber, it's good answer. If the verb is be, we use be. Yeah, if the verb is be, use be. I was happy. Were you happy? Yes, I was. We can't use did. So be is exceptional. It's the king of all the verbs and different from all the verbs. Yeah. So past simple, what's going to be past simple of have? What will be past simple of have? Had, so I had an accident. Okay, be, past simple of be. Be, past simple of be, was or were, was were. Go, past simple of go. Went, stay in. Stayed in, phrasal verb. See, seesaw, hate, saw, not so. So hate, hated. So which verbs are regular? Which verbs are regular then? We can say which verbs are regular. Hate and stayed in are regular. Hated and stayed in with ed ending. But as usual, the most common verbs in English are not regular. Like have, be, go, see. Unfortunately not. Just another thing that's there to annoy you in English, about English. Yeah? It just keeps us, teachers in work, this kind of thing. Keeps us in our jobs. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you a sentence using one of these collocations, past simple. Okay, Peter had an accident in the shopping center last week. What question words can I use here? Question words with were. What question words can I use about this sentence? Peter had an accident in the shopping centre last week. Question word. When? Okay. Yes, you know my methods. You know my methods. When? Okay, where? Yes, any more? Any more? There's two more. Okay, what? I'll give you that. And another one. Who? I think it's Shima. Anything else? Okay, another question word with auxiliary verb. We don't know why, so we can't say why. It's not in. Maybe it did. It's auxiliary verb. Okay. So tell me the question then. Type quickly the question for me. Peter had an accident in the shopping centre last week. And next question. Type some questions in the box for me. Okay, where did Peter have an accident last week? Have a capital letter on where? Capital letter. Yeah, where did Peter? I'll accept that from Haba. Okay, what happened last week? Thanks, Roid. Okay. When did, okay. When, we've got when did. Who? Pfizer is not right, yours. Pfizer, try again. Did Peter? And who had an accident? Okay, good. So tell me the answer then. Everybody quickly type in the box. When did Peter have an accident? Short answer. When did Peter have an accident? Last week. Where did Peter have an accident last week? Where did Peter have an accident last week? In the shopping centre with RE, that's English, British English, English, I call it. What happened last week? What happened last week? I'm not teaching American English. I can't teach it. I'm not American. And I can only teach what I know. What happened last week? Peter had an accident in a shopping centre. Yeah. Who had an accident in the shopping centre last week? Peter. Or you can use auxiliary. Peter did. Did Peter have an accident last week? Yes, he did. Good. That's right. But look at your punctuation, please. Yes, capital Y, comma, H, did, and then full stop, like Heber's done it, right? Good, Heber. Yes, he did. Okay, let's see what we can notice here about the question form. When did subject, auxiliary verb subject. When did Peter? Where did Peter? If we could say why did Peter? How did Peter? So usually after question word, it is auxiliary verb, isn't it? Many times my students annoy me when they're saying, when Peter had an accident. When Peter had an accident. Not right. Where Peter had. No, absolutely not. Notice we've got the infinitive form in the question. Infinitive. So when, auxiliary, subject, infinitive. Now, somebody asked a good question about who. We can't say who did Peter have an accident. Who did Peter? Because Peter is the person who had an accident. Peter had the accident. Peter is the subject. So who is the subject? Who is the subject question word? And so we need to have normal past simple time. Who had an accident? Peter did. Yeah, does that make sense a little bit? So who is slightly different. We have to be careful with who. It can be that who is the subject. The answer is the subject. Yes, good, Heather. I think you should come on and teach this next week, Heather. Good. What happened last week? What is the answer, isn't it? What is the subject? What happened? So we're using past simple happened. We can't say what did happen last week. Who did happen? No. But let's change this a little bit. Let's say that there's two people involved. One is the subject, and the answer is not going to be the subject. So Peter had an accident with John. We can say who did what? Who? We can use auxiliary verb if it's about the other person. Who did? Come on, I know you know this. I know that you know this, so come on. Who did Peter have an accident with? With John. So the answer is the object, yes. Good. And the answer is John. So the answer is different from Peter. Yeah. We just have to remember these little rules. Generally, I tell my students, if the question is work question, we're using the work question, then auxiliary verb, then subject, infinitive. Yeah. John is the object in the sentence, and Peter is the subject. Yeah. And then the yes/no question is with did. Did Peter have an accident last week? And yes, we need to have rising intonation. We need to go up. Somebody mentioned it. They're not both subject. No. John is the object. We need to go up at the end. Did Peter have an accident last week? Yes, he did. We can't say monotone, did Peter have an accident last week? Because we don't know if it's a question even. We don't know if that's a question or not. If you're starting the sentence with what, where, when, we know it's a question. We know it's the question from this first word. But for yes/no questions, we need rising intonation. Okay, so let's go forward now and listen and repeat, please, the whole sentence now. Peter had an accident with John in the shopping center last week. Peter had an accident with John in the shopping center last week. Peter is the subject of the verb. Peter is subject of had. It's Peter that we are focusing on. We are interested in Peter. What happened to Peter? Peter had. So he is the subject, and the person he had an accident with is John. This is object. In English we follow subject, verb, object. Peter had an accident with John. You know, this can be one subject phrase, if you like, and then place and time. Yes, study a bit more online, Honeywell, about past simple question forms. This, and maybe someone else can help you in this quiz. Peter is the hero. Peter is the subject. We want to know about Peter, what happened to him. So we have to be careful about who when we're making questions. But the other question words should be with auxiliary verb. Yeah. Let's think about that now. Content words in the sentence. Which words are content words? Which words are content words? Peter is content word. What are the key words here? Peter had accident. John shopping center last week. If we said the sentence, Peter and John had an accident in the shopping center last week, then they're both subject. Yes. If we put them together, Peter and John had an accident. They're both subject of verb, but in this sentence they're not. Just Peter. So what are the stressed syllables then? P is stressed. Had a accident. John shopping last week. Okay, so these are the key syllables in the sentence. We must hear them clearly. We must hear the vowel sound in these syllables. Peter had an accident with John in the shopping center last week. Last week. Notice I didn't pronounce T in last, or in accident either. Peter had an accident with John in the shopping center last week. P had a John shopping last week. These are the stressed vowel sounds. Let's have a quick look at them. We need to pronounce the stressed vowels most clearly. This is called E, A, do the same. Next one, O. Next one again, O. E, E. So we can see this is called the sound spine of the sentence. The sound spine, the stressed vowel sounds. E, A, O, E. Can you say that? E, A, O, E. These are the key sounds that we want to hear to understand the sentence. If you've got different sounds from these, then we might have a mistake. Yeah, we might not understand it. If you're saying, for example, Peter had an accident, well, it's not English. It's not English because we can't hear these vowel sounds. My students in Poland don't pronounce long vowels. You know, they might pronounce last week, instead of last week. So to study this and to improve, you have to really focus on the vowel sounds, the stressed vowels. E in Peter, a. O, e, r, e. You know, we need to have John, we need to have O in John. If you've got a different vowel sound, it can be a different name. If you've got A, it can be Jan, and that's a woman's name. If you've got the I sound, you've got gin, then that's the drink, alcoholic drink. If you've got S sound, you've got Jen, and that's also a girl's name in English. So if I said to you, oh, Peter had an accident with Jan in the shopping centre, that's a totally different person from John. John is O, Jen is E. But and also if you have a long vowel sound, Jean, again it's a woman's name. So when you get these sounds wrong, we end up with a problem like understanding, communication problem or communication breakdown, because we can't hear the sound that we're expecting to hear. Yeah, is it John, Jean, Jan, Jen? June is a month, isn't it? June. All of these are possible with different vowel sounds. Good. Okay, any last questions then before we finish this? Any more quick questions? So we've looked at hospital topic, we've looked at the vocabulary today, we've thought about schwa sound and glottal stop, two very important facets of spoken English. We looked at collocations, we studied past simple time, we thought about auxiliary verb, we made a sentence, we thought about question forms in this sentence, with when, where, what, who, and did. We discussed who. That can be difficult sometimes in the question form. We thought about rising intonation, sentence stress, content words, stressed syllables, and the sound spine. So I think we've done a lot today. Next week, in next week's lesson, we'll continue with hospital. Next week it's lesson 6, but this time we'll be using language lesson. Using language, that means we'll be doing either discussion or role playing or some speaking games, and hopefully we'll hear from you, the microphone as well. So don't be shy next week. Let's hear your dulcet tones in the lesson next week. Okay, thanks. Yes, have a conversation. Good, Budor. Good, so very nice to see you today. Have a nice evening, whatever you're doing, and see you next Friday.